Hello again, folks. Okay, so a while back I bought the Croczilla DVD, and of course Croczilla came with 7 bonus movies. And I stated in previous videos that, yeah, I'm going to try and watch all of these movies. Man, it's really become work at this point. I watched another 2 movies on this DVD collection. It took me a long time to get through these, actually, or it seemed like a really long time. Last 2 movies, not including Croczilla, of course, that I'm going to review today. The Phantom from 10,000 Leagues and the Giant Gila Monster. Okay, let's do this. Let's start with the first one that I watched here, out of the 2. Phantom from 10,000 Leagues. Now, this is one of the older movies on this whole collection. This is 1955. So yeah, it's old AF. It kind of sucks. You get what you pay for. I mean, I paid, what, like $4 or $5 for the entire collection of 8 movies. So let's just say it cost me like somewhere between 25 and 35 cents to watch this movie. But it cost me a whole lot more than that in time. Well, I don't know, like 70 minutes or whatever it was. The Phantom from 10,000 Leagues stars nobody that you've ever heard of or care about. Like a monster, reptilian-ish. I don't know, is this supposed to be a fish? Is it supposed to be a reptile? I'm not sure. But it's got this weird, almost like Godzilla-looking head. But it looks terrible. There's a creature in the water that attacks people. There's a mad scientist who's responsible for making this creature. And there's investigators that have to figure out, who made this creature? What's the purpose of it? How do we defeat it? In the very first minute of the movie, they show you exactly what the creature looks like. And okay, that's fine. That's all well and good. And we even got to see the creature early in the movie. But the problem is, they showed it too early. And there's no surprises for the entire rest of the movie. We, the audience, know that there's this weird reptilian, ugly-looking, fake-ass-looking creature lurking around in the water. But then we have to watch like all these investigators and police chiefs and all the oceanographer, comes to town to investigate this phenomenon. And we have to watch them like piece together this whole story about what we already know. There's a fucking fish monster man in the water. Shoot it and kill it and take care of it. Like, why do you have to make us suffer through all this like personal drama? And then there's like this crime backstory. Somebody's trying to rip off somebody else, and meanwhile this one mad scientist is trying to create fish people or something. And it's so fucking boring. I keep saying that for all these movies, like on this Croczilla collection. They're so boring. I mean, this one, I think, is probably the most boring that I've seen out of any of them. And I'm going to level with you here. I fast-forwarded through at least 20% of this movie. Just finger on the fast-forward button just to scan through the scenes. And it's like, okay, they're just talking, they're talking. Holy fuck, just get to the point already. And when they do get to the point, we just see the same scene that we saw like in the very first minute of the movie. It's like you get some guys with scuba flippers on and whatever and swimming around down underwater shots. Ooh, look at their underwater photography that they could do in 1955. Okay, that's fine, but there's only so many shots of this like guy in this fishman suit or whatever that they keep like repeating the same shots, or maybe they're not the same shots but they look almost exactly the same. There's very, very little action in this and very, very little monster stuff in it. I'd never heard of this before and I'm not surprised. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a D-. This is a boring ass, pointless movie. Watch the first minute of it and you'll see the entire movie. Because what do? They just like blow it up with like TNT at the end. Or I don't care. I'm not going to go back and watch this ever. Like, Whoa, this is bad. It's not F bad. What is bad? Like, don't watch this. Okay, so the second one I watched here, second to last movie in the Croczilla collection, including Croczilla. So there's light at the end of the tunnel, people. The second one I watched in this particular viewing, though, was the giant Gila monster. Okay, I don't know that much about what a Gila monster actually is, but as far as I know, it's like a lizard that lives in the American Southwest, the deserts. I think it might actually be poisonous. I don't think they get much bigger than maybe about 4 feet long, who knows, something like that. But yeah, they can be a dangerous lizard. Oh, what about a giant one? Well, first of all, it's not giant because, of course, it's just a real lizard, which isn't even actually an actual Gila monster. It's another lizard that apparently looks very similar. On miniature sets, it's got like a little miniature train. It's got little miniature buildings that this lizard just kind of walks through. And there's very little like monster actual action in it. They show a character look up at the hillside and he's like, "Ah!" Then they cut to a shot of this very unlively reptile just kind of flopping his way on this like miniature sandbox set or whatever with little tiny trees, knocking them out of the way, and they put in some sound effects and they make it like, oh, this is a crazy, huge, giant lizard monster. And then every once in a while, like, you know, because these people usually, like, die at the end of this encounter, and they show just, like, its giant foot, which is really just a close-up of a lizard foot hitting the camera. And the thing totally looks like it doesn't want to be there. It's like they probably had to keep poking it with a stick to get it to move and to go places and stuff. And there's not even enough shots in there to keep it interesting. Like, I mean, I guess out of this 70-ish minute movie, you get maybe about 3 minutes total of giant lizard scenes, which is not enough to keep this entertaining. So this is another movie where I kind of had to scan through this because it was so boring, and it's like it's telling us this story of all these quirky characters that live in this shitty ass rundown desert town. Oh man, like it's kind of brutal to get through this because it's boring. And they try and throw some entertainment kind of stuff in there. They throw a little like teenage dance number. They get like the greatest DJ in the state to come and play at their like barn dance or whatever. And there's another scene with our main character plays a song on the ukulele, and I guess he's an okay singer or whatever, and the song's like fine, but it's like, what the fuck? You're just like wasting our time here. I came to see a giant lizard wrecking stuff, and I got like 2 minutes of that? No. You're done. Yeah, apparently this movie was shot like back to back with another movie that's on the Croczilla collection, with The Killer Shrews. Which, as shitty as that movie was, it was way better than this. Okay, they were both made in 1959 in, like, Texas. The other one had, like, Sheriff Roscoe P. Coltrane, at least. And they had people drinking all the time. This one is like, everybody's a perfect angel, but nobody actually does anything. They just run away from the Gila monster, and at the end, our protagonist drives his hot rod filled with nitroglycerin and jumps out of the last second and crashes it into the giant Gila monster and kills it, and movie's over. Oh, and their explanation for why there's a giant Gila monster, how this Gila monster got so big, is sometimes animals just get big. This one got real big. Seriously, that's how they explain it. It's just like, every once in a while there's a genetic mutation, and it's not unheard of that things can hide in the desert for a long time. And like, really? You didn't even try? You didn't even say like radiation or toxic waste or evil experiments or anything like that? Nope, just giant. Just sometimes they're big, man. What are you gonna do? well, we're going to jump on our hot rods and blow it up. So that's the gist of this movie. This is dumb. This is really dumb. And I keep saying that for all these movies in this collection. What would I give it overall? I don't know. D. D for don't bother. I guess maybe just because it's associated with the Killer Shrews. This one I ranked a little bit higher and a little bit more watchable, but I still had that fast forward button going like for a long time. So is it really fair when I didn't watch 100% of both of these movies? But I don't see any reason to go back. Like, was I missing something that's going to tie this entire movie together, and it's going to be like, oh my god, I can't believe I didn't get that. No, these aren't those kind of movies, man. I think it's fair. I think it's fair to tell you, don't bother with either of these movies. But once again, I have to say, the Croczilla collection, it's been an interesting ride. But this is still not a review of Croczilla. You won't find Croczilla in this video. But that's coming, baby. Because I did watch Croczilla. I just have to put it in a separate video to talk about it. Because, well, here's a spoiler alert. It's probably the best one. So until we get to Croczilla, have a good one, everybody.